What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome, joined by Tyler Stafford. After the Astros, well, they did what you wanted them to do in Atlanta. They took 2 of 3 from a bad team, but at this point in the season, where they are in the division, where they are in the entire playoff standings, I don't want to say this felt like a must sweep series, but you certainly felt like you left money on the table on Sunday when you sent Framber Valdez out against a bad Braves team with a chance to sweep, knowing that the Mariners were playing a terrible Angels team at their ballpark, where the Mariners are unbeatable at T-Mobile Park at the moment. And Framber Valdez goes out, and I'm not a big fan of classifying good Framber, bad Framber. I think that's too simplistic, but today was most certainly not good. Framber gave up 5 runs. He has given up 4 runs or more in 7 of his past 8 starts. There's a lot of people that share a lot of blame for what has happened with the Astros the last 2 months. Framber Valdez is one of them. We don't want to make this a full Framber show, but Tyler, they won the series. They have to feel somewhat good about that, but when you get down to 13 games left in the regular season and you're in a tight division race, you're in a tight race to even make the playoffs, you got to win every layup you get. And when you run Framber Valdez out there against a team that has stopped trying, then you expect to win that game, and they didn't do that today.
Yeah, and not only do they lose the game, Framber's only able to get 12 outs, throw 76 pitches. You have to use your bullpen for, 5 full innings of outs. You have to burn JP France, who, of course, good for him for being back. It was maybe he could start at some point in the next week. Obviously, that's no longer an option with him throwing today. It's getting to a point with Framber over the last month and a half, 2 months, where, look, I mean, the Astros are trying to make the playoffs, and as we've said all year, they have to make it and see what happens. But the honest truth is, they could win 110 games this year and have a first round bye. And if Framber's pitching like this, they're not going anywhere in the playoffs. They have to have Hunter Brown and Framber be co-aces. That's how this entire team is designed, is your 1 and 2 starters, get you 3 or 4 wins in a 7-game series. And in the last 9 Framber starts, the Astros are 1-8, and Framber has a 5.85 ERA. It's not going to get it done. I mean, there's no scenario where Framber's not starting game 2 and game 6 of any 7-game series. Like, he's going to pitch. And if they're losing every time he goes out there, they're not getting past the series if Framber is not back to what he has been for most of his career. Obviously people go through funks and things like that, but look, when Framber is on, he is one of the more entertaining pitchers to watch in baseball. He looks like there's a magnet under the infield dirt when he's on, and it just sucks every ball into just grounding to the shortstop and second baseman, and it's like magic. I mean, he looks effortless when he is on, and he was that for a lot of the game today. I mean, the 4th inning, he threw 6 pitches, got through. He entered the 5th inning with like 50 something pitches, looking good. The game's tied. Like, oh, Framber might go 8 today, like what's going to happen? And then when he loses it, man, there is almost nothing less enjoyable to watch than when Framber can't locate the strike zone. And that's what happened in the 5th inning today. He just couldn't find the strike zone, walks the bases loaded. They have to pull him again at 76 pitches. It wasn't even that he was like at a pitch count where you got to pull him. It was like he just can't find the strike zone. And you're trying to, I don't know if it's save face or just, again, try to just win this game and get out of the 5th somehow, which, I mean, they were trying to do. Obviously didn't work. I mean, even if the bullpen hadn't given up another run the rest of the game, it didn't matter because the Astros couldn't score anything after that, which had been the complaint. But it's hard to complain about the offense after the first 2 games of this series. You know, you're allowed to only score 3 in a series where you scored 20 something runs in a 3-game series. Like that's going to happen. But again, all of this is irrelevant. If Framber is not good in the playoffs, none of this matters. I mean, they could have gone 162-0 this season. They could have won every single game. And if Framber's pitching like this, they're not going to win a playoff series.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I thought it was interesting. You mentioned, 76 pitches. Then Framber gets pulled. I thought that was Joe Espada showing the way he's going to manage the last today was the 13th, but the last 12 games of this season. Like, this is not time to let your guy have a leash, see if he can wiggle out of it. No, he was trying to win that game. Like he knew that they had to get out of that inning. They had to keep it manageable. They had to keep it at least somewhat close. So he's in playoff manager mode already. And, the stat you mentioned about Framber Valdez in his last 9 starts has a 5.85 ERA. In those 9 starts, he had thrown a pitch in the 6th inning and 6 of them.
Yep.
So there was at least that. At least he wasn't pitching well, but at least he did what quote unquote aces are supposed to do. He got you into the game. He shielded your bullpen. He got you into the 6th, sometimes into the 7th. That wasn't the case today. And like you said, they had to run through their bullpen. They threw a couple of their leverage arms and Yel De Los Santos and Steven Okert. They had to pitch today when they've got the Rangers coming into town for a massive homestand coming up. I think the only solace that they can take is that Brian Abreu did not pitch in any of these 3 games in Atlanta, which if anyone needed a time off, it's Brian Abreu. They've got him rested and they can fire him for however they want to in this upcoming homestand. But yeah, you're right. If Framber is pitching like this, then they have no shot.
No.
They have no hope of they can maybe skirt by in a wild card series, because you know what? In a 3-game series, anything can happen. The ball bounces your way, the offense kind of ignites for 1 game, anything can happen. But you start to get in these longer series where the pitching depth gets exposed and where the rotation depth gets exposed. He is a guy that you're going to rely on if you get into a 5-game series or you get into a 7-game series. And if he's pitching like this, it's not their path to win. It's going to require the offense to step up in his absence, and they couldn't do it today. You did mention about, the offense was better in these 3 games. They scored 11 runs on the first night. They scored, I believe, 8 in the second. But you can only play who's in front of you, and I'm not going to demean the team for this, but this is a Braves pitching staff that had a 4.46 ERA. There's only 8 teams that have a higher one. So, again, they can only play who's in front of them. They can only play the pitchers that are rolled out there, but they beat up a bad pitching staff. The Rangers are about to come in with the lowest ERA in baseball, and they're going to throw Jack Leiter, Merrill Kelly, and Jacob deGrom at you. So, while it was nice to see more of a pass the baton sort of thing, they strung some hits together. They hit some homers. It looked better. It looked better than it did in Toronto. It certainly looked better than it did in Arlington a couple of weeks ago, but just not – I don't know that there's much from this series you can take, and that's instructive going forward because, again, they can only play who's on their schedule, but this is not a Braves team that's at all going to scare anyone. Their whole rotation's on the IL. They didn't sell at the deadline, but they didn't buy either. This is a team that's playing out the string, and the Astros did what a team that purports itself as a championship contender should do. But I'm not sure there's much instructive stuff you can take from this series to say, oh, they're really on a roll going into the Rangers series.
No, I mean, with any series, I think it's important to play the exercise of if you swapped the order of the games, how would you feel? Right? If this were the Friday night game, the Framber game was Friday night, the Astros lose, they're feeling down. And then the next 2 games, they score 11. And then I think they scored 6 on Saturday. I mean, whatever. But,
I was busy on Saturday.
Yes, same. If they score, 11-6, they win those games coming into the Rangers series. How are you feeling then?
Right.
It's important to look at a series as a whole. Like they still completed what they needed to do, which was win a series against the Braves and, keep a lead on the Rangers. Now, none of this matters if the Mariners are just going to win every game from here on out, which is what they're doing right now. Like, no one's going to be able to compete with that. But of course, they're not going to win every game from now until the end of the season. So you just have to keep stocking wins, which the Astros did against a bad team, something that they haven't done consistently throughout the year. What are they, like 500 against the Rockies this year? Like, it's still good to win 2 out of 3 against the Braves. But yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know what you take from that series other than AJ Blueball needs to be a starter. That guy needs to be in the rotation. He's looked good. Christian Walker, when he's not playing at home, looks good. Cam Smith apparently has 450 in the tank, which I didn't even know that. That was impressive. You hope they don't have to amputate Altuve's foot. They say it's a day or two. We'll see. But yeah, look, we're at the point in the season where every game is a playoff game. This is to the point where every game has the same weight as a wild card series game, and you won 2 out of 3. You would have won a series. You would have won a playoff series if that's what it had been. But again, it's hard to feel any hope with how Framber has looked for the last 2 months. I try not to be too much of a downer. Maybe this is my battered Aggie syndrome. Just I didn't get to use it against Notre Dame. Don't know if you saw that, but that was a fun one. And I didn't get to mope about the Aggies there. So maybe I'm moping here about the Astros. But I just, it's hard to feel any sort of confidence about a playoff series with how Framber has looked.
I feel so bad for the Texas A&M women's golf team because they're about to be staying 5 to a room at a La Quinta in Starkville to go play tournaments because the football team's going to need pay raises. I'm sure they're all going to go ask Texags to up their NIL deals. So I just feel terrible for the Texas A&M women's golf team. I hope their budget doesn't get cut too much. But
we beat the U of H Cougars in hockey 19-0, which I didn't even know was possible. So
that team's going to cease to exist in a week.
Yeah,
once the NIL numbers go.
I assume they're playing at the Galleria, the U of H
perhaps
hockey team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at things. If you would have flipped this series, but I'll also say they were coming off just getting absolutely worked in Toronto for 3 days, and then if they would have lost the Friday game with Framber, I don't think that would have done much to help people. I think they would have just driven them further into despair. And then the next 2 days were obviously help. But we're talking about they beat a bad team. They did what they're supposed to do. Let's also remember, look, the next 6 games are going to define their season. The Rangers and the Mariners at Daikin Park, 3 against each of them. That's going to define their season. They win both of those series, not saying they have to sweep. They win both of those series, then they go on the road for the final week of the season and they control their own destiny. It is in their hands what they do. They don't have to worry about the Mariners, the Rangers, whoever they're playing, the Red Sox, the Yankees, any team in the wild card. They're okay. But it should be noted, the last week of the season, they go to Sacramento to play the A's, and then they go to play the Angels, who look like they have given up. So they're going to get 2 more bad teams before this is over. The problem is if they go on those road trips, and that's great, they can have those teams in front of them. But if they're relying on the Mariners to lose or the Rangers to lose, that's no way to go through life. You've got to have it in your own hands. And that's the big thing about this upcoming homestand. They want to have, when they go to California in a week and in 8 days, they want to have their destiny in their own hands to where you know what? If they go to Sacramento and lose to the A's, then it's on them, man. Like that's on you. Like you if you can't go beat the A's in a minor league park, or if you can't go beat an Angels team that's going to strike out more than any team in baseball history, like that's kind of on you. They want to control their own destiny going into that trip, and the only way to do that is by winning both of these upcoming series against the Rangers and the Mariners. We'll come back after a message from our friends at Foul Territory and talk about the new outfielder. We'll talk about Zack Cole right after this message from our friends at Foul Territory.
Time for your weekly Arena Club segment where we see what AJ pulls from a slab pack. And here we go. Pulling a little Emerald pack this week, AJ. Looking for something big.
Always. I'm always looking for the big thing. Next big thing, Scott.
Big money, baby.
Yep. No whammies.
We've got a Dave Winfield card from 1974, a 74 Topps card from this Emerald pack. Estimated value $300.
Mm-hmm.
You could sell it back for $270.
Sold.
I feel like you're into more of the current players. Would that be accurate?
No, I mean,
you like legends?
In my showroom, I have a Robin Yount. I have a Griffey rookie card.
Oh,
I think.
That's true.
So, I mean, I have some older vintager players. Bob Gibson.
Oh, yeah, you have Gibson.
So, I disagree, Scott. But Dave Winfield, for that amount of money back, I'm reselling it.
And if you want to get your own pack or new card, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/foul.
So I thought it was, I was thinking back to what we said on the pod on Friday before the series started. We were talking about Zack Cole and talking about kind of what he was going to bring. And I said, unless just something out of this world happens, like this kid's not going to come up and completely carry this team. And then as I'm watching this game on Friday unfold, I'm like, are you serious? This kid, this kid may really come up and carry
awesome.
this team. But what a debut. What a first impression for Zack Cole, who homered not just in his first at bat, on the first pitch he saw in the big leagues. And it was not a cheapie. That was 114 off the bat. That was a no doubter. You saw kind of what team officials have been whispering about for the last month, about how he underwent some swing changes and the exit velocities were real and the power was real. And it was there. And they were just saying we need it all to click. And as we said on the pod on Friday, Tyler, he's probably not ready to be up here. I think the next two games probably showed that. Just the swing and miss is still up. He struck out 35% of the time in the minor leagues between AA and AAA. Like, there is still some development to be done here. But for this series, like, Zack Cole fulfilled what they wanted. Like, they wanted to catch lightning in a bottle. They wanted to see if the hottest hitter in their organization could come up and give this team a spark and give this team some energy. And by God, he did that.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that was the third hardest hit ball of an Astro this year, behind two Jordan shots. Again, you said 114.3 off the bat. To give you some context, that max exit velocity is higher than 91% of players in the in Major League Baseball this year. Like, that is pop. Like, you can't teach that. That's not something that, you just luck into. Like, that is for real 70 grade raw power. Now, he struck out in 5 of 12 plate appearances. Like you said, he struck out in 35% of them in the minor leagues. He's at 42% in the big leagues. Look, this guy is not going to be a Jordan style hitter where he is just as much of a threat, to be a good hitter as he is a home run hitter. Like, this guy is coming up to swing for the fences and get lucky. And he did that on his first swing. I did like that in his second at bat. They just went all off speed. Like, they were like, all right, never mind. We're not throwing this guy fastballs anymore. That didn't work the first time. But again, that's not something that anybody else on the Astros team can do. Literally one pitch into his big league career, he did something that no one on the Astros, not named Yordan Alvarez, has done over the entire season, which is hit a ball that hard. That's, something that only he is able to do, provided that spark. it definitely felt like in that game that it just lifted something off of the Astros shoulders. You know, they were able to relax a little bit when the rookie comes up and just hits a moonshot, you know, and breaks a game open. Yeah, he's not going to save your season by hitting 600 over the next 3 weeks. That's not going to happen, but he might run into a home run or two every series, which no one else on the Astros seems to be capable of doing. And if you happen to get him up with 2 guys on base and you roll the dice and that's the at bat in the series that he happens to connect on one and hit it 430 feet, like that's a series altering swing. And it's not one that anybody else in the Astros really possesses outside of Jordan.
Because let's think about why he's up here. Taylor Trammell, in his past 81 plate appearances, had 5 extra base hits.
Mm-hmm.
He had 1 home run and 4 doubles. Zack Cole is essentially up here to replace Taylor Trammell. Like he's playing in left field he played in left field every day in the Brave series, but he's a left-handed bat. He is up here to be a higher ceiling player than Taylor Trammell. And that is what they hope. They hope that he can slug a little bit, hit some balls into the gap, hit some doubles, hit a homer. I don't know how well that's going to work out coming up, facing Jack Leiter, Merrill Kelly, and Jacob deGrom. And then against the Mariners, facing Brian Wu, probably Logan Gilbert, and probably Luis Castillo. Like it's only going to get harder. Like we just mentioned, the Braves are awful. The Braves have an awful pitching staff. Like he got to feast a little bit on the dregs of Major League Baseball. He's about to get the real show coming into the homestand. But like we talked about on Friday, like no one expected him to come in and carry the team. They wanted some new life. They needed to change things up. You know, you hear all the time in other sports, like they need to shake up the room. Well, this is shaking up the room. This is bringing up a kid that was not in big league camp. Like I would be stunned if any major league player in that clubhouse, you know, maybe minus the guys that were taxi guys coming up from AAA, I'd be surprised if half the guys in that clubhouse had even met Zack Cole before Friday. Like this was a complete shakeup of the room. This was something like, you know, I think it kind of sent a message that, you know, we mean business and we got the urgency is here. And it worked. It worked on Friday. Obviously they had a nice offensive game on Saturday too. Zack Cole wasn't a big part of that, but you know, it worked on Friday. It helped the momentum and it just helped the vibes a little bit. I think there's a lot to be said about vibes. This team had been running on vibes for a very long time this season. And it just feels good when you get a kid that comes up, first big league at bat, first pitch, hits a homer, he's smiling ear to ear. And let's not forget either, before he hit that homer, that catch he made in left field.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty nice catch. Like, I mean, I don't know. I've heard, you know, I have a story running in the Athletic on Monday morning. I talked to the scout that signed Zack Cole with the Astros. He actually also signed Hunter Brown too. Pretty good area scout. He got promoted to an East Coast cross checker recently, which is probably overdue. Scott Oberhelman. You always want to give credit to the scouts. So Scott Oberhelman, congrats. But yeah, you know, he said the 2 things that when he was looking at Ball State, because that's where Zack Cole went to school, he said the 2 things that stood out to him the most were the bat speed, and then Zack Cole's first 14 swings in the big leagues, I believe, averaged around 78 miles an hour bat speed. League average is 71. So he's got the bat speed's there. And they kind of knew that if he's got that bat speed naturally, he'll probably tap into some exit velo. The power will just kind of naturally come, and you've seen that manifest. And then the other thing that really caught his eye was the arm was 99 from the outfield.
Yeah.
He was throwing 99 from the outfield arm-wise. So they knew the defense was probably there. This is just a wiry kid that's an athlete. Again, I don't know where he fits in the long-term plans. He may not even be a part of their long-term plans, but for this stretch, he was the hottest hitter they had in this organization. It wouldn't have mattered if he had 1 game above AA or 100 games above AA. They were going to go look for who is the hottest hitter in this organization. Who can we get up here that is feeling himself, that thinks he can do no wrong, and that will come up here unafraid and is going to swing. And I think, you saw he's unafraid. He swung at the first pitch he saw in the big leagues and sent it 400 and something feet. Like, it was a nice first impression from a guy that, quite frankly, I didn't expect this from.
Yeah, I mean, another one of those guys. I mean, when we talked to Ethan Pecco, it was a very similar story where he essentially played one college season. His first 2 seasons at Ball State, he had like 60-something plate appearances across those from injuries and just not playing. He had 1 season, went in the 10th round, and then, yeah, dude can just swing harder than anybody else, and you just hope that he can run into one. And he did, and that's what it looks like. So again, yeah, bring him up. And I mean, we talked about, you know, protecting prospects and stuff throughout this year. Look, absolutely no offense to Zack Cole. He is in the big leagues. He hit a home run on his first pitch. There's nothing I could say to him, hopefully, that would offend him. He's 25 years old and was a 10th round draft pick. Like, the Astros don't care about his, like,
Correct,
long-term prospect develop. Like, it's like, can you do something right now? Come up here. This is not a 20-year-old that you took in the first round that you're like building your future of your franchise around. This is, hey, this guy's been hitting. Let's see what happens. And if he's good, great. And if not, not who cares, but a 10th round pick. He's 25. You know, this is not somebody that you're like building around.
This isn't calling up Ethan Fry after
No.
Ethan Fry may have set the world on fire at high A, gotten double A for a few games, and then calling him up to channel another Crush City territory guest. But this isn't doing that. This isn't calling Ethan Fry up. This isn't, I'm trying to think who are their position. This isn't calling Walker Yannick up, their first rounder from last year. Not that he warrants a call up, and he's a catcher, but anyway, you get my drift. Like, it's not. I think Zack Cole can certainly carve a spot. I mean, again, he's 25, which is on the older side, but he's still he's been through a lot of injuries. He's had just a lot of adversity. Like, he can still carve like a nice little role as a professional baseball player.
100%.
As a fourth outfielder, maybe hell, if he hits 114 off the bat regularly, they'll find a spot.
He'll find a spot. Don't worry.
Right.
But he's a year and a half younger than Juan Soto.
Okay, Joe Buck. But yeah, I thought, I don't know how much longer the Lightning's going to stay in the bottle. I think it may have escaped a little bit in the last 2 games of this series. And again, you're about to see the Rangers, who throw a lot of good pitching at you. But I also think, props to Joe Espada, just run him out there. Like, we said it on the pod Friday. Like, if you're bringing this kid up, like, just play him. Like,
yeah,
like we talked about. I don't want this to disrespect Taylor Trammell, who's a very good dude, but like, I mean, at this point, like, the upside's higher. Like, just if you have a choice between him and Trammell, just play this kid. Like, and hope he can run into one. Hope his just like youthful energy and exuberance. He's, relatively speaking, has not played a lot this year. He's taken about 400 plate appearances in the minor leagues, which, I mean, Jose Altuve is already over 600 in the big leagues. So, like, he, relatively speaking, hasn't played as much as these guys. So he's probably a little fresher. And just, again, he's running on adrenaline, running on fumes, running on just being high on life, getting to the big leagues. And good for him, though. Good. Like, I still have not met him because, again, he wasn't in big league camp. Like, I've never met him, but from the interviews and all the videos I saw of him in the clubhouse and on the field, like, looks like a pretty likable guy. Looks like a guy that would assimilate very well into that clubhouse. So good for Zack Cole, who had a debut that I don't think anyone will be able to match for a while. I have to go back and look. I don't know how many Astros have hit a first pitch of their career home run. I know a few have hit first big league at bat. That's not like prevalent by any means, but you hear that. You hear first at bat in the big leagues, you hit a homer, and that happens sometimes. But I'd be hard pressed to think of another guy that hit the first pitch of his big league career out of the ballpark.
Dude, he smoked that sucker too. I know I sent you this video, so I'm assuming that you've seen it. I've watched that video of the Corpus Christi Hooks watching that first at bat probably 30 times. It rules. If you haven't seen it, I retweeted it. Go find it. It's from that like Astros player development. I think the Hooks put it up too. But it's the whole Hooks team just watching this dude who was on their team like a month ago just rip a ball in the big leagues of a team in a division race in September, and they just go nuts. It's so much fun. It's why I love baseball. Like it's stories like this of guys who just come up, and again, we're at the point where every game matters immensely. Winning that one, just getting a 2-run lead on Friday could impact your playoff odds by more than just about anything else anybody else is on the Astros have done for the entire year. Like, that's how much things swing at this point in September. And it was very, very cool to see.
This could come down to, like, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done after the next 12 games, like, this could be like a half game or a 1-game difference between the Astros going to the playoffs, the Astros having home field advantage in the wild card series, the Astros winning a division. Like, it's gonna be a 1-game sort of thing. So you start to think back at moments through the season. You think about what Zack Cole did, another crush city territory guys. You think about what Bryce Matthews did in Arizona. Like, Bryce Matthews won them a series in Arizona with 3 swings of the bat. You think about that. You just think about the little moments that in the season that turned out to be so massive. You could also say, it was to the Astros' detriment too, because maybe if Bryce Matthews doesn't hit those home runs and the D-backs win 2 of 3 in that series, maybe they don't trade, sell. Maybe they don't trade Josh Naylor to the Mariners. Maybe they don't trade Eugenio Suarez to the Mariners. Maybe they don't trade Merrill Kelly to the Rangers, all of whom the Astros will see very soon in a 6-game homestand that will define their season. And we'll talk about that homestand right after this message from our friends at DraftKings.
Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins. With DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, from breakout rookies to elite QBs, and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call, ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
So I don't think it's hyperbole, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, if you think this is hyperbole, but I think their season is now a 6-game season. Like we just talked about, like, you win both of these series. Again, not saying sweep, but if you go 4-2 on this homestand, there is a very good chance you get on a plane Monday afternoon to Sacramento and you have your own destiny in your hands. And it's go beat 2 bad teams on the road, and you're going to be in the playoffs. You'll probably host a wild card series, and then you'll just kind of go from there. But these are the 6 biggest games that they have played, certainly this season, and maybe outside of playoff games in the last couple of years. These may be the 6 biggest games the Astros have played really in recent memory.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The golden era of the Astros have had the division locked up by June most of the time, so they haven't had a lot of big regular season games. And look, obviously all 6 of these games are important, but to me the Rangers series is what matters. 2 of these 3 teams are going to make it into the playoffs. That's just, barring something crazy happening, that's what's going to happen. The Rangers are 3 games back of the Mariners. The Astros are 1 game back of the Mariners. There's really not another way for any other team to make it outside of the Guardians, who do get to play the Rangers in the last series of the year. If they go on a 8-2 run and then sweep the Rangers in the last series of the year, they certainly could sneak in. But outside of that, it's essentially two of these three teams, and you already have a 2-game lead on the Rangers. If you can look, I hate to say the word sweep, but let's pretend that the Astros can sweep the Rangers. That means that they have a 5-game lead on the Rangers with what, 9 games left, 12 games left? What is it after there's only 12 games left in the
12
season?
games left right now, so it'd be
Yeah.
9 games left.
So 5 games up, 9 games to go. Like the season, you're feeling pretty good if you can do that. Now, obviously, if you can win 2 out of 3, you got a 3-game lead with 9 games left. That's also very good. But if it goes the other way, if the Rangers can win this series and gain a game on the Astros, or heaven forbid, sweep the Astros and take the lead, like that is a humongous swing. Again, you're obviously going for the division, like you want to beat the Mariners too, but as we've talked, we talked a little bit about before we started recording. Yes, winning the division matters, but really just for home field in the wild card series, because the Blue Jays are going to have a bye and the Tigers are going to have a bye. As you explained it, I believe it's the top 2 division winners. So whoever wins the division with the best record.
The 2 division winners with the best record get buys.
Which
the Astros are not going to. That's not going to happen.
And the Mariners aren't either. Like it's going to be the Blue Jays and the Tigers. So whether the Astros win the division or not, whoever it is that wins the division, they're playing in a wild card series, and they're essentially playing for, do you get one more game at home than if you hadn't won the division? Again, like you want to win the division, you want to lock this up as soon as you can. Again, ideally, so you can set up your rotation for that wild card series that you're almost certainly going to be playing in. But you got to get in. And right now, your biggest threat is the Rangers. If you can put them out right now, you're feeling really good about the end of the season, because the Rangers really don't have to play anybody outside of the Astros. They have 3 against the Astros, then they are at home against the Marlins and the Twins, and then they go to the Guardians for that last series of the year. But it may be that the Guardians are just out by that point. So, the Rangers have a very easy schedule outside of this Astros series. You have to win 2 out of 3 here. There's no getting around it. There's no sugarcoating it here. Yeah, they're going to be throwing their best arms, and you're not going to get to throw Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez in this series. You have to take 2 out of 3 here.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I also feel like they're in better position for the Mariners series than they probably are for the Rangers series, for a couple reasons. Obviously, you just said the pitching matchups. Jason Alexander is going to start Monday in game 1 of that series. I imagine it will follow with Christian Javier and then AJ Bluebaugh, or an opener in AJ Bluebaugh, something in game 3. I wonder, though, if they lose the first 2 games of that series, I wonder if they consider, I don't know that they'd want to be this desperate yet, but if they lose the first 2 games of that Rangers series, Hunter Brown would be on 1 day less of rest. He'd be on 3 days rest. Would they throw him on short rests in that final game if they feel desperate? I don't think they would, but who knows? Like,
no.
Desperate times can sometimes call for desperate measures. I don't think that would happen, but certainly, they're TBA in the last 2 games for a reason. So, the Rangers are interesting at the moment. I think you saw it when the Astros were in Arlington this past week. They're running on just fun and vibes, and there's a lot of dudes that I had never heard of. Cody Freeman, a guy named Michael Hellman hit leadoff for them a couple of games and is apparently good.
Aggie legend.
What? Did he really?
I believe so.
Michael Hellman?
Is that who I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
No. Yeah. He went to A&M.
Oh, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he succeeded and met all of his expectations at Texas A&M.
Aggie legend, Michael Hellman.
He's a former Aggie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Former Aggie.
Look, you can't hurt me right now. We just beat Notre Dame. I'm invincible for this week. You can't hurt me.
Yeah, and what could be a bad sign for the Astros. Adolis Garcia is off the IL, so he will be active and ready to go for these 3 games. He has not been good this season. There's a chance they non-tender him this winter, but whenever he faces the Astros, he somehow can find a way to hit a couple homers and be a real pest. So they don't have Corey Seager. They don't have Marcus Semien. They don't have Nate Eovaldi. I think Chris Martin, one of their leverage back end guys, hurt himself in the Mets series. So this is not like the Rangers team that you think of, but the one thing that they have done all year, and as we reiterated earlier, they pitch the hell out of it. They have the lowest ERA in baseball. We've talked about it ad nauseum, the 3 starters they're going to run out there, but their bullpen has pitched well. They've got a lot of different guys in different roles. Old friend Phil Maton is one of their setup men.
Sleeper agent Phil Maton.
Yeah. Sleepy in various forms. But I feel better about the Astros' chances maybe against the Mariners, just because the Mariners have not played well on the road this season. I get it. They've won 8 in a row. They just blitzed through a homestand and looked invincible doing it. But you start to look at their splits and you start to look at both how they've pitched and how they've hit at home and on the road, and it's pretty drastic. So assuming that holds, and also with the knowledge that the Astros are going to throw Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez in that series, I feel a little bit better about where they are going up against the Mariners. The Rangers, you do wonder how long they can live on these vibes, but they've lived on them for this long now. They've clawed back into contention, and you don't want to say that it's going to end anytime soon. So, look, it's 6 tough games. I don't think I'm being out of line when I say I think the Astros have a better team than the Rangers. I think the Astros top to bottom 1-28. It's a better team, especially with Semien and Seager and Eovaldi on the injured list. Like, the Astros have the better team. I don't know that I'm ready to say that when it comes to the Mariners. I think the Mariners probably have a little more depth. I think the Mariners lineup is certainly more dynamic. They slug a little bit more. I'd take the Astros top of their rotation maybe over, Brian Woo's been excellent for the Mariners, but they don't really have that number 2. Logan Gilbert's been hurt a good bit of the year. He's been okay. He hasn't been typical Logan Gilbert. Luis Castillo's had some ups and downs. Like, they don't have that defined number 2. You could argue that the Astros don't at this point either with Framber, but I still maybe would take Framber's track record and just, maybe I'm too generous and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit. But I think when you put these rosters together, I think the Mariners certainly on paper probably have the best roster of these 3 teams, but they don't play these games on paper. Like, they've got to go out there and win. And one thing that the Astros do have to take solace in is they do get them at Daikin Park, where they haven't played exceptional this year. They're 43-32 at Daikin Park, but recently it has not felt that way. It's in the second half during this slide, they've lost some winnable series at Daikin Park. They've been swept there. They haven't been playing their best, but you'd rather have them at Daikin Park than going on the road to face these teams.
For sure. And like I agree with you. I think they're better set up for the Mariners series. I just think if you can put the Rangers out of it in this next series, it almost doesn't matter what happens in the Mariners series. I mean, again, if you somehow lose 2 out of 3 to the Rangers and you've got a 1-game lead, and then you have to win a series against the Mariners, like, there's even more pressure on there. So all I'm asking is for a little 6-0 homestand. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think that's too much to ask. Just a little tiny 6-0 homestand. I'll settle for 5-1, preferably with the loss against the Mariners. But you just got to get in, and you already have a 2-game lead on the Rangers. So I'm saying, look, pump up that lead. Get as big of a lead as you can on the Rangers, because, as we've said, there's almost no discernible difference between winning the division or not. You're not going to get a bye. You're going to be playing in a wild card series anyway. So get in there, and you already got a 2-game lead on one team. So put them out.
I think the biggest luxury the Astros could have, and I've said this for 3 weeks now, and people are going to get tired of me hearing it or me saying it, but the best case scenario that they can have is they fly to Sacramento on Monday, A, with their destiny in their own hands, and B, with the ability to manipulate their rotation the way they want to manipulate their rotation. Because if they go into that final series in Anaheim and don't have things locked up, and they don't have a playoff spot clinched, and they don't have, they're not in the tournament, then you're going to have to burn Framber Valdez. You're going to have to burn Hunter Brown. And if you get in,
and your bullpen too, which is the hardest part too, because you got essentially one bullpen arm.
Right. So you want to be able to do that to set yourself up for the wild card series to be in the best position. But I think that should be their foremost goal, is to go to California and be able to do with their pitching what they want, not be forced into pitching Hunter Brown on weird days of rest and jeopardizing him, not to risk, Framber. They think Framber's very durable with the arm and he can bounce back better than anybody. But, I know a lot of people are down on Framber, but you're going to need him. Like you said it earlier, Tyler, he is pitching in a playoff series, whether you like it or not. Like, I mean, he is pitching and like, they don't have anyone else. Like, so you don't want to mess with him more on this final trip than you would need to. But to be able to have that autonomy and be able to control their own destiny, they're going to have to get it done in these 6 games at Dyken Park against the Rangers and the Mariners this week. We will be back during this week to debrief, check in the middle of this, see how it's going. Off day on Thursday. We'll probably come back on Thursday and talk to you guys, set up the Mariners series after whatever happens against the Rangers. While you're watching that stuff, you can follow me on X at Chandler_Rome. You can follow Tyler at Tyler C. Stafford. As always, please rate and review us on Apple. You can rate and review us on Spotify as well. You can leave some comments on the episodes if that's what you want to do. You can like the YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get notified every time we go live. That YouTube channel is Crush City Territory. Every time we go live, you'll get alerted if you subscribe, so please be sure to do that. Like I said, we'll be back in the middle of this massive homestand to discuss where the Astros stand, whether they're still in playoff contention or whether they're on the outside looking in. They will enter this homestand in second place in the American League West for the first time since June 1st. They are in second place in the American League West. And a quick look at the Fangraphs odds before we get out of here. There are currently 5 teams that have at least a 90% chance to make the playoffs, according to Fangraphs. It's the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Tigers, and the Seattle Mariners. The Astros have 72.5% odds to make the playoffs, but those change with everyone in loss. So they're still in for everything that has gone wrong. They're 26-34 in their past 60 games. They have not played well for going on 3 months now, but they're still in okay shape. They control their own destiny. They've got 6 games against their rivals at home to put them away. Like, if you handed them this choice in spring training, I think they'd take it. But they got to get the job done, and we will be back to see if they do. Thanks for listening.
I'll be at the game on Monday with my family, so if you see me, say hi so they think I'm cool. Bye.